I'm here with Carla Lockhart MP for Upper Bann in Northern Ireland, and she's going to be talking to me in relation to her view of youth social action currently, where she sees it going and her passion for that issue. Good morning, thank you for watching this morning's In Conversation With. My name is Tim Hancock. I am the Northern Ireland Youth Representative on the iwill Partnership Board. The iwill Partnership, as you will likely already know, is run by Volunteering Matters and UK Youth. And they're coming together to basically reach out to 10 to 25-year-olds and basically advocate the position that youth social action can actually bring to society. And that benefit to not only the young person, but also to the community around them as well, and all of those benefits. My own personal journey started as young as 11, as we'll talk about later on in conversation. And I'm now sitting at 24, and I've enjoyed all of those years of developing through my own journey. So hopefully what you're going to hear today will encourage you to get involved as well. Good morning. Thank you for joining this week's In Conversation With. My name is Tim Hancock. I'm the Northern Ireland Youth Representative on the iwill Partnership Board. For this year's Power of Youth Day on the 8th of June 2022, I am here with Carla Lockhart MP for Upper Bann in Northern Ireland. And I'm speaking to Carla today in relation to her view on youth social action and where she believes that youth social action can go in the next few years. Carla, would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hi everyone, my name is Carla Lockhart. As Tim has said, I'm the Member of Parliament for Upper Bann. I've been in politics for 15 years. I've been a local councillor, a member of the Legislative Assembly, and in 2019 had the great honour of being elected to Westminster. I really value young people within my constituency. I see day and daily the transformation that they make whenever they volunteer and give back to society, and I just want to see that expanded. I want to see it grow, and I want to see so many more young people taking up the mantle and volunteering and helping build a positive impact in the communities in which they live.
Brilliant, thank you. So we're coming out of the back of the pandemic. Things are starting to open up again, things are starting to get going again. Sitting here in 2022, what do you think that youth social action and volunteering looks like in Upper Bann and across Northern Ireland?
Well, I think, as I've said, I think young people across Northern Ireland do tremendous amounts of positive work in their local communities. If I'm being really honest, I think it is quite isolated, and in many ways a lot of them just get on with it. They just do it, and there's no sort of maybe strategic direction and no cohesion as to how this looks in terms of actually making a real transformation within the local community. Northern Ireland is quite unique, and I know that you have a UK-wide based charity doing this, but Northern Ireland is unique. We have a lot of churches, we have a lot of sporting organisations, we have a lot of sort of musical organisations and talents, bands, things like that, and so many people give in their own sphere to those communities. So I think from my perspective, and Tim, you probably can comment on this as well as anyone, but I think there needs to be a pulling together. Volunteering can be isolating. You can feel very isolated, you can feel very much on your own, and yet they're not. There's thousands of people on a daily basis volunteering and giving back to their communities.
Absolutely.
So it's pulling those people together and actually making them feel there's a network and they're not on their own.
And that's something that we do, that actually is a privilege for us here in Northern Ireland, is that we do have so many churches and youth organisations and uniformed organisations and all of the musical connections and bands and all of those things that you've mentioned. And they're doing great things for young people, all getting them on board and actually teaching them what it means to live in a civil society and what that looks like, and how those young people can actually give back to their communities, not just take everything, but actually how they can then go and give back, whether that's helping elderly folk with shopping or cleaning up neighbourhoods at the very most simple level, to being involved in leadership in politics like yourself, all of those sorts of things present massive opportunities for young people. But I think you are right, and I think that is one of the opportunities that we'll talk about later on.
But you look at Upper Bann, and like, you only have to think, over the summer there will be hundreds of young people will go out and clean the streets. There will be hundreds of young people who will volunteer with elderly folk. There will be hundreds taking part in their Duke of Ed, etc., and all giving back to society. And sometimes I just don't think we get the value of that. If the government was paying for that service, it would cost millions, whereas
Absolutely.
every volunteer is doing something that ultimately helps someone else.
Absolutely, and all of those volunteers in their own individual ways are giving something that actually they don't have to do it, but they want to, because they want to make a difference. And I think we do owe a lot to those folk who have seen the opportunity in young people across Northern Ireland and across Upper Bann, who want to make that difference, and I think that is brilliant. I'll be leading 2 Duke of Ed teams actually myself this year, and I cannot wait. I'm really looking forward to it, because that opportunity to engage with young people and actually to make a difference in their lives is brilliant.
Well, I was reading somewhere that at the age of 10, that is the ideal age to start volunteering. And I thought,
Absolutely.
gosh, how often do we think primary school? That's primary school age.
Yeah.
So what can we be doing at a school level, and then at a wider society level to try and encourage and push people towards volunteering?
Yeah. And our viewers will know that our campaign, the iwill movement, starts really at age 10, because we've already identified that actually that is the critical age to start volunteering, and so often we actually maybe miss opportunities there. But I think of my own journey in youth social action and volunteering, and I started that when I was 11, 12, and I'm now 24. So, it really is an ideal age, because it's at the age when you're starting to learn about society, you're starting to learn about the world outside of the school doors, and that's a brilliant time to do that.
And the benefit it brings to you in later life as well, because we all know that, educationally you need to show some life skills and life experience, so it's all beneficial in the long run.
And that skill development is fundamental, because that is at the age where young people are developing. Can you think of any examples of young people getting involved in youth social action that has inspired you when you sit back and you look at of all the work that you're doing, people who stand out for the work that they're doing here in Upper Bann?
Well, as I say, it's probably quite hard to pick one specifically.
Yeah.
Probably it is those youth teams who go out in the summer. I think that makes a real visible difference to communities and societies, and it actually paints young people in a very different light, I think, in the older generation's eyes, because I think young people can get tarred with a brush that they're problem children, or they're only ever on their iPhones and their iPads. So it's lovely to see them out and about. But I think on a wider Northern Ireland scale, I probably would say the Youth Parliament. I think it's a superb organisation. I think it will be very influential in how it shapes politics in the future. And just locally, there was a young man from Lurgan College was elected to Luke Taggart, and I think that's an absolute superb achievement for him.
Absolutely.
And for the school and for the local area to have a voice on that parliament that will ultimately shape policy and shape legislation in the future, because we can't continue to build our society on old laws and how we've always done things. We have to think, what are the needs of young people, what are the needs of the area in terms of that sort of youth element. So it's really important that people like that step up.
Absolutely, and picking up on that, that's how we've always done things, quite often sends alarm bells in my head. I'm like, okay, it may well be that we've always done things that way, but we don't have to always keep doing it that way. There is opportunities to grow and learn, and it's brilliant. I mean, you introduced yourself at the start, and you made it clear to our viewers that you know, you got involved in politics at a young age, and it's brilliant to see that next generation starting to come through in the likes of the Youth Parliament and all of those good initiatives that are out there. In the next few years, what do you see the opportunities for youth social action and volunteering and that roadmap for the next few years across Upper Bann and Northern Ireland?
Well, I think everyone needs a plan and everyone needs to know what direction they're going. For me, as I said before, I think it's a little bit sporadic the way things are at the moment. And because Northern Ireland is so diverse and has so many different groups and organisations, it's very easy to get sort of entrenched in your own sort of way of doing things. So I think it's actually getting young people to explain what it is even the iwill project is about, and the benefits of it, and then getting an overall strategic direction for volunteering that all of those organisations can actually adhere to, look towards, try and ensure that they meet the criteria. And for me, you know, the volunteer now is the way to do that, because ultimately each young person needs to benefit from what they're doing as well, and if there's a clear guidance structure, you know, and things and goals that they can work towards, I think that would be really beneficial. So for me, a very cohesive strategic plan as to where we're going.
Absolutely, and for the likes of myself that sits on the partnership board and trying to drive that direction, not only for the whole UK but also for my wee part of that for Northern Ireland, you know, I'm glad to see that you're very much on that train of thought already, in that having that cohesion, and that's something that our charter seeks to do. Our youth charter seeks to bring all of those organisations together to give a set of objectives and deliverables that we can actually say, look at the difference that has made.
Best practice, really.
Absolutely, yeah. Best practice that we can then look back in maybe 5-6 years time and go, actually, look how far we've come. You know, we were coming out of the back of a pandemic at the stage, you know, in 2022, but actually look where we are now, and I think that's absolutely brilliant.
And I think too, Tim, like, it would be remiss of us not to say, like, young people have suffered immensely with mental health issues, particularly throughout the pandemic. So for me, what better way of tackling, you know, mental health than, you know, volunteering, giving people a purpose, giving people that ability to fulfill and feel valued. So, you know, volunteering is the way to go.
Absolutely.
With all of that.
And, you know, for somebody who's sitting watching this, we've already said that, you know, young people as young as 10, that is the ideal age to start getting involved in volunteering and youth social action. So both for parents who are maybe watching this today, and also for younger people who are maybe watching it themselves on whatever social media streams they're watching it on, what would you say to those people that they're maybe thinking about getting involved in youth social action and they're not sure how, or they're not sure what to do, or even they've watched this video and they thought, that's something I never knew about, actually I could get involved with that? What would you say to those young people and those parents now, today?
Just do it. Just go for it.
Absolutely.
You will not regret it. I remember you, Tim, when you started your volunteering.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember it started probably with your lights, your Christmas lights.
It did.
And I remember, like, way back at the start, calling at your home, and there were a few decorations, and yet year by year it has just grown into something that has been amazing.
And that's something, you know, that, again, being able to look back, this year's our 10th year of doing that for charity, and, you know, being able to look back, actually, I'm actually taking part in a presentation to people who are coming into the hobby now, who are getting involved in charity Christmas displays and all of those good events that we're doing. And actually, I was preparing that presentation of what I've learned over the 10 years, and when you actually sit back and realise, wow, what I've learned. So all of those life skills that we've talked about, you know, for those children as young as 10, as I say, I got involved when I was 11. 10 or 11 is when I started to have the passion for what I've ended up doing. And I think that's absolutely the age. So as Carla says, if you're sitting out there and you're not sure how to get involved, there's going to be contact details available. get in touch with us and we can absolutely get you partnered with somebody, either an organisation or getting you set up in terms of doing your own form of social action, because we would love to have you as part of the iwill campaign, because we want to champion young people and go out there and say, look at what our young people can do, that our young people, as Carla has said, they're not problem children, that actually the young people have so much to offer to society, and young people have so much to give back to society. So that's pretty much a wrap from us today. Thank you very much, Carla.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you for all you do, because it's amazing to see.
Thank you very much,
and on the ground.
You know, we look forward to working with you in the years ahead, and you know, maybe in 5 years' time we'll be able to look back and go, well, look where we have come since we sat down and did that interview. So thank you very much.